We get to our last debate topic that will touch on this somewhat. Should the Supreme Court take into consideration changes in American society? Joe, you're going to say yes. We have a living Constitution. It should be interpreted differently now than it was 200 years ago because so many things have changed. Jack, you're going to say no. The Constitution should be interpreted literally and amended when necessary. You each have 1 minute for your opening statement. Joe, opening statement. You have 1 minute.
Okay, so the Constitution needs to evolve over time because as society changes and there's differences, we need to change too. So when they made the Constitution, there's a lot of things that are different than there is now. So for example, let's say gun control, guns. Back then, guns take, 5 minutes to load, and you shoot 1 round. Now you have semi-automatic guns that shoot 10 rounds in a matter of seconds. So we need to change that so we can, so it's like correct.
Okay.
That was terrible.
So, Judge, this will be your last scoring opportunity here under Supreme Court. Jack, Constitution interpreted literally, amended when necessary. Explain yourself. 1 minute.
So, if everybody hates something that is in the Constitution so much, you amend the Constitution. You don't just interpret it and say that it's actually in the Constitution when it really is not. The Constitution can be interpreted in so many ways that it might be able to start like anarchy in our country. The 14th Amendment never says anything about abortion, yet people like Joe here use it to make abortion legal. Sorry, Joe. Our founding fathers left decisions like this for our states and ways to amend it.
Okay, now we do counterpoint. So, Joe, as Jack has alluded to, the 14th Amendment does not, in fact, specifically say anything about abortion. So wouldn't pro-choice advocates simply end controversy by amending the Constitution so it specifically allows that, and thereby reducing a lot of the controversy? What do you say?
I don't think so because amending is a big process. It takes a long time, and the Constitution is very broad. It's not specific, so we can't come up with an amendment for every single thing that comes up, or we'd have a million amendments.
Jack, your rebuttal to that.
Our country wasn't founded on shortcuts, like interpreting the Constitution differently. It was founded on working hard and taking the long way that is more rewarding, like actually having something written that says that the Constitution has been amended to fit our time better, and we, or most of the people, agree with it.
Okay, Jack, your counterpoint. You talked about states' rights, and yet in the South in the 1950s, states' rights were what was used to defend segregation, saying the federal government had no place there. And in fact, by your reasoning, the Plessy versus Ferguson decision that Brown overturned, which said that separate facilities for whites and blacks were separate but equal, but in fact we all know they were separate and unequal. So, and they used the states' rights arguments in the South a lot of the time to defend racism and segregation. So isn't Joe right? Shouldn't we take those changes into account, changes in our society, especially after World War II? You have 1 minute.
This is a hard one to argue because of the racism and all of that, but I'm sure some justices on the Supreme Court did not agree that slavery was right or that racism was right. But they did what was the legal thing to do at that time, and yeah.
Okay, Joe, 1 minute rebuttal.
Plessy versus Ferguson. The ruling was separate but equal. That lasted 50 years. Segregation was allowed for 50 years. So you saying that was okay? That segregation was just okay just because the Supreme Court said it was okay? And according to the Constitution, that says it's okay? You saying segregation is okay?
I feel we're going to need another round on this, right?
Yes, we will.
All right, so Jack, I'll give you a minute to respond to that. Bonus round.
All right. I'm not racist. Segregation is not okay. But if you look at the Constitution, the Supreme Court justices are just following the guidelines that the Constitution gave to them. I'm sure they amended the Constitution in order to, I don't know, make slavery not a thing and segregation lesser at the time, at least. But, yeah, racism isn't cool. Segregation isn't cool.
Okay, Joe,
Jack,
1 minute. You get the last word.
The guidelines don't say anything about being racist, Jack. Let's bring in another example. LGBT. That's lesbian and gay people, okay?
Right. Okay. So wait. Everybody, calm down. All right.
Calm down.
We need silence so Joe can deliver his final points.
You saying that just because gay rights aren't in the Constitution, that means that gay people can't have the right to marry each other? Is that what you're saying, Jack?
Well. Sorry. He gets the last word. All right. So wrap it up, though. Yeah. Go ahead. Wrap it up. It's wrapped up.
It's wrapped up.
We're good. Okay. All right. There we go. I just fit it into this debate.